Joining us now to talk more about it all, Caitlin Huey-Burns, national political reporter for Real Clear Politics, CNN legal analyst and former prosecutor Paul Callan, and Robert Bianchi, former prosecutor and chief law enforcement officer in Morris County, New Jersey. First reaction from everyone, Paul.
This is cowardly backstabbing by the President of the United States against an Attorney General who has shown enormous integrity and backbone in standing up to Mr. Trump. The President's been trying to force a resignation of Jeff Sessions when he, the President, has the right to fire him if he wishes to do so. But the President is too fearful of doing that because it may subject him to obstruction of justice charges. So instead, he's trying to use this backdoor effort of constant berating and attacks on the Attorney General so the Attorney General will resign. And I think Sessions deserves enormous credit for standing up to the President, showing backbone and integrity by remaining in office.
Your reaction, Robert?
I agree with my colleague here, and I'm surprised that I am. Not that I agree with you, but he is doing what he's supposed to be doing and not letting politics influence what the Justice Department's supposed to be doing. Now, it's interesting to me. When I was appointed the head prosecutor, and you know this, by the governor, I can only be removed for cause. I can't be browbeat out of that office, and I think that they need to do something that this can't happen again. Nevertheless, I'll say one last point. It's interesting to me that the president is so upset about what he's doing with the Justice Department because I handle criminal defense cases, and when they pass policies that you have to plead to the most readily provable offense and these draconian sentencing and plea guidelines, I wish the president would be so concerned about the little guy who's going to jail for a lot less of the policies of this administration.
Notable to me, Caitlin, that the president used the word loyalty when he was talking about why he's so upset with Jeff Sessions, and his response clearly says, I am not loyal to you.
Right, and absolutely interesting about this, too, is the way in which the president is continuing to use justice in quotation marks. I think what you're seeing kind of across agencies, quite frankly, when we're talking about agency heads coming out in public and defending their own agencies, I think is really striking, considering that they have to stick up for the work of everybody in these agencies. Remember, just after the Helsinki conference, we saw the heads of the national security and intelligence communities come out and try to stake their own ground on here. Here we see Jeff Sessions doing exactly that as well. And the president has berated Jeff Sessions for months and months without taking that step of actually firing him. I think it's also notable that we've seen reporting from Capitol Hill, people like Lindsey Graham questioning whether Jeff Sessions might be fired after the midterm elections and what the appetite for that would be on Capitol Hill. And this is part of the president's efforts to undermine his own Justice Department and appearing to be so corrosive at this point.
Paul, how unprecedented is it? Just take the names out for a second. To see an Attorney General of the United States essentially rebuking the President of the United States in such a public way.
Well, it's really totally unprecedented. And, you know, you have to really go back to the Nixon administration. And during the Saturday Night Massacre, of course, at that point in time when Nixon was trying to give the order to Elliot Richardson, who was the Attorney General at that time, to fire the special prosecutor, Archibald Cox, Richardson stood up to Nixon and said, no, I'm not going to do it. So Nixon fired him. And then Ruckelshaus was the next person in line. He fired Ruckelshaus, and he had to go to the third person in line, Mr. Bork, who finally issued the order. So this really is very, very unusual to have this kind of a fight between an Attorney General and the President of the United States.
Everyone stay with me. I know there's much more to discuss. We have more breaking news.